As you know, Roger Ebert is part of the successful reviewing team of Siskel and Ebert. Siskel recently passed away, who was a good friend of this show. I never even got to talk to Roger about it. Hi, Roger.
Hi, Howard.
How are you?
Yeah, you said some really nice things when Gene died, and they really meant a lot to me.
Well, Gene was a great guy. I loved Gene so much. I thought this guy was on top of his game. He was, he was more than a critic. He was someone who this guy would do criticism of anything.
He would love to criticize.
Oh, he would. He would review your shoes.
Yeah.
He would. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful to be around him. I always enjoyed the both of you. And the two of you together were pure magic.
That's right.
Because, quite frankly, the two of them would argue over everything. And it was such great chemistry.
Even about who was the better reviewer.
Yeah, and I always thought you two disliked each other so much.
Not really.
But you know what I mean?
We disliked each other only in the way that others dislike each other.
Yeah, it was fun to be around
you know somebody so well that you go beyond any ordinary kind of dislike and into a kind of love that involves perpetual competition.
There were times when you guys would argue so vehemently with each other, and I'm not talking about movies.
I mean, Howard, you brought us together.
Yeah, but you know what?
You brought us together. Whenever we were on your show, we ganged up on you.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But there were times that, they were booked together, and Roger would get here, and Gene would be late because he had the CBS thing to do.
Yeah.
And I would say, why don't you put me on?
So
right. Yeah, it was great. It was just so great.
One-stop shopping. I'm a full-service critic.
And there were times...
Have me on.
I know, it's true. And there were times when the two of you would go at each other, personally. That was so great.
Yeah.
I mean, they were
it's great when you have the freedom to do that, when you feel the freedom to do that. So many people are so constrained. That's one of the things about your show was that, you and Robin and the whole gang, you've been working together so long that you can say the most vile things because you know there's an underlying acceptance.
That's true. There is. We accept each other's vileness. So it's like...
We can comment on it.
It's perfect. But the truth is that there were times I would see Roger, his eyes would roll into his head when Gene would say certain things. And I knew Roger was genuinely pissed.
Oh, I was sometimes.
Yeah, you were. You were just fed up with him. And there were times I even felt that you were like, oh, I wish I could be on my own and away from Gene. But yet, through it all, I think even now more so, you realize what great chemistry you have.
I'd love to have...
And how hard that is to capture.
It is.
You never know what you have until you've lost it.
It's the truth. It really is.
I miss him every day. So I took his little son, Will, to see Tarzan yesterday.
Oh.
Does his son love the movies?
Yeah, 4 years old.
All right.
His mother was there, Marlene, Gene's wife, said, now, Will, it's okay to say if you don't like it.
Right.
He's got to be in Gene's tradition. He can't just like everything like most kids do.
It's so sad. His kids are so young.
I know. That was the other thing, that he
he has two teenage daughters.
Yeah,
right.
He lost his father when he was a young boy.
His last public appearance was the bat mitzvah of his younger daughter.
Oh, my God.
And then he never got out of bed again.
Roger, you're such a goyim. It's a bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah.
A bat mitzvah?
A bat mitzvah.
No, it's a bat mitzvah.
It is a bat
what
mitzvah.
Did I say, a bat mitzvah?
A bat mitzvah.
You got to be confused now with Botman. Botman and Robin. It is Robin, isn't it?
So Gene got to see his daughter bat mitzvah, but that had to be an emotional day. I mean, it had to be insane.
Well, he didn't talk about his illness.
Yeah.
Right.
And the official line was that he was on the mend, and that was his way of dealing with it. He didn't want a lot of people pitying him. He wanted to do his job.
Did he know he was dying, though?
Well, he was a very smart guy. Let's put it this way. He figured out just about everything else he ever put his mind to, and I think he had that figured out, too.
Oh, what a horror.
He was very smart.
And there wasn't a history of, like, brain cancer or anything in his family, was there?
No.
It's just one of those...
Nobody ever said it was brain cancer.
I thought it was.
Well, I think it probably was.
Oh, but it was never discussed.
No.
But
of course, with pesticides and cell phones and all of the pollutants we have, there's a lot more brain cancer now than there was a generation ago.
You know, it's funny you say that with cell phones. I really feel that when you take something that can transmit like that and hold it up to your ear all the time, that's got to cause some sort of freaky thing.
I do not use cell phones at all at any time.
But Roger, you're sitting in front of
your head in the microwave.
You're sitting in front of the computer all the time.
Well,
I have to take my chances.
I mean, but
I have to pick and choose.
Yeah, I kind of feel I very rarely use a cell phone.
Yeah, but not everybody gets anything. People who smoke sometimes don't get cancer.
Yeah, but I don't know. Think about it. You're putting this thing that radiates next to you. Was he a big cell phone user?
He had a cell phone.
Right.
I don't know. I feel that, when our time comes, whatever it is, that's what it is.
Yeah. I just feel bad.
You act as if some people get out of here alive.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He was a young guy. How old was he, 50?
He was 53.
53. I mean, that's relatively young. And I mean, you got a young kid. That's all.
And his son had a 4th birthday not long after Gene passed away. And Will is a great kid.
And how is his wife? Is his wife doing okay?
Well, she misses him a lot.
Right.
And it's going to, they had a wonderful, wonderful relationship.
They were married how many years?
Good friends, and they did a lot of things as a couple. Despite the fact that Gene was so busy, his family always came first. He would, whenever we were out of town, let's say, to do a Letterman or a Leno or whatever, if he could, he would take the overnight flight back. He wouldn't wait. I would stay and come back the next day.
Right.
He would take the red eye. Or he would come back that evening, whatever it took, to race to the airport to spend the night with his family instead of in a hotel room.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a pretty amazing guy. I tell you, I had such a good feeling about him.
Yeah, the other thing, though, was that he always used to say to Roger, I'm worried about you. You've got to take care of yourself better.
I know, that was weird.
That was very weird.
I mean, Roger, not to be crass, but I always thought you'd go first.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm back on the...
You're on the diet?
The Pritikin program.
Oh, forget it. You know what happened the last time you did it? You hated it?
Hey,
you felt miserable?
Everything good happened when I was on the Pritikin program. What happened, Howard, was when I was off the Pritikin program.
I know. He was so proud, too.
Oh, he was. Of the way
I don't weigh any more now than I'm down to my lowest again right now.
Can I tell you something? And this is my advice, because I do a lot of dieting. I would give up on the Pritikin. I don't like it. I think you need some carbohydrates.
You don't know anything about
Pritikin. Is
based
not
on
the
carbohydrate
diet.
Atkins.
It is a carbohydrate diet.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
The high carbohydrate diet.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It's low protein.
What did you eat for breakfast?
I always have the same thing. I have a giant bowl of oatmeal with fruit cooked in it.
All right, that's good.
And soy milk.
And then you don't eat till lunch?
For lunch, I have a garden burger at Subway.
That's it?
With no cheese and mayonnaise.
No bread?
Oh, of course I have bread.
Fries?
No. They don't have fries at Subway.
And then you don't eat till dinner?
And then I don't eat till dinner.
That's not enough food for you. That's why it's going to fail.
That is a large amount of food. You don't know.
You need to eat 5 to 6 meals a day.
You don't know the amount of oatmeal I eat. I eat enough oatmeal. A quadruped could make it till lunch on my amount of oatmeal.
Really? I don't know.
And you're losing weight.
I'm down 45 pounds.
Wow.
Really? Well, no offense. That's hardly a dent.
Well, look, that's
Thank
still
you very much.
It's something.
You are as much of a sexist pig. A sizest pig.
As I am a sexist pig.
As the people who attacked Harry Knowles-worth.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. No, come on. I'm rooting for you. I hope you get thin. I really am.
Well, it's
45 pounds on...
easy. And one thing that was interesting was I found out that my thyroid was very, very underactive.
Oh, please.
Come on.
Come on.
Either you believe this or you don't.
I don't.
Don't give me the please.
I don't believe that. I believe if you... if
I
sent you to Biafra, your thyroid would be fine.
Down below 1.
Please.
What?
I'll send you to Africa where they're starving.
You stand there with your 0.0 thyroid.
No, I am a very slow thyroid.
Oh, come on. You have a thyroid so fast that you spend all day just trying to get inside of it.
No, you don't even know how much I have to diet. If I don't exercise, I run 5-6 miles a day, and I still got a gut. I'm telling you, I got the same problem as you.
Well, it's tough.
And listen, I'm rooting for... Listen, 45 pounds is a nice start.
Well, I'm not complaining.
That's like throwing a deck chair off the Titanic, though. You got to lose.
Thank you.
You know what I mean.
Thank you.
I'm telling you.
Don't you have anybody there to do your rim shots for you?
So, Roger, anyway, let's talk about this story. This is kind of weird. Robin has said she wants to be the co-host.
I haven't gotten a call. I'm very disappointed.
I think we're trying to use mostly actual film critics at the present moment.
This is your problem.
Would give me more pleasure than working with Robin on television.
For example,
I'm going to have to do it on your show.
Robin just went to see The Mummy.
And
what is your review, Robin?
My review is that there are great special effects. It's a good-looking production, but there's a problem with the story, and Brendan Fraser's not a strong lead.
How many? Do you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I give it a thumbs down.
Roger, what do you say?
Okay, there you are. There's Robin's review of The Mummy.
And what is your review?
My review will be given to the people who pay me at such time as...
What do you mean? You haven't seen it yet?
I've seen it. I've written my review.
What do you think of it?
It'll be in Friday's paper. It'll be on Saturday's show.
Why are you not telling me?
Why am I not telling you? Because I don't want to scoop myself.
Scoop. Just tell me, is she right or is she wrong?
She's half right.
Half right.
She's half wrong.
Half wrong.
Well, if you're half right, you're half wrong. I suppose.
Well, in the first place, anyone who expects the story of the mummy to make sense is living in a dreamland.
It's not the point of whether it makes sense.
Wait a second.
There's a stupid love story there that is a waste of time.
It's still got to be believable. Even in the world of magic or in the world of the supernatural, you still have to have rules.
Are you talking about the mummy's love or Brendan Fraser's love?
Brendan Fraser's love.
Oh, that doesn't waste. They don't stop more than 10 seconds for that love story.
This movie drags in the beginning. Well, they're
drags?
Yes, it drags.
When he's being sealed in the sarcophagus with the flesh-eating beetles, that was slow for you?
After that, when they get into who Brendan Fraser is and who that girl is.
When she knocks over every bookcase in the library, wasn't that a great scene?
Who couldn't tell when they were going to kiss? Who couldn't tell what was going to happen?
Look, every movie I've ever seen, I could always tell when they were going to kiss.
Oh, please. This was so telegraphed. It was ridiculous.
There was only one movie ever made where you didn't know they were going to kiss.
I see a chemistry here. I see chemistry.
Please.
Robin and Ebert.
Well,
So listen to this. This is a funny story.
I've had a lot of fun with the various guests.
Forget
We're trying to stick mostly to movie critics at the present moment.
Let me tell you a story.
Robin.
Let me tell you a story. So Roger, of course, is looking for somebody to use.
Yes.
And I guess there's a guy on the Internet, I don't know too much about him,
right,
who reviews movies. He's an Internet guy.
He's got Harry Knowles. He has the Ain't It Cool website in Austin, Texas, which gets 300,000 hits a day.
Right.
It's a very, very big website.
So the guy is a legitimate reviewer, would you say?
Yes.
All right. So
he's an example of the web-based generation of film people that is very important right now, and I wanted to have not just one, but he was the first, but I wanted to have some people from the web because that has really created a lot of good discussion about movies. The web has.
So what happened was he decided to let him try to be the co-host, sight unseen. Never saw the guy before.
I knew what he looked like.
So the guy shows up. I guess the producers didn't know what he looked like.
Yes, sure they did.
He's a heavy.
You're quoting this page 6 item, which I might as well tell you to save a lot of time, is fault in every single detail.
It is. Right. So in other words, when you saw this guy, he's a very large man. He's 5 times the size of you.
He weighs about 325 pounds.
Right. He's a big guy with a big red beard, and he's very
tall. He's about 6 feet tall.
He's a mountain kind of man, like looking, you know?
He's got a big red beard, and listen, he's famous for the way he looks.
In fact, people sent me pictures. There's already on the Internet pictures of Roger Ebert with this mountain man guy.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing. So because Roger now is the skinny guy on the review show.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Maybe that was my motive, Howard.
That's what I'm saying. Keep him. You're now the svelte guy.
The New York Post had this really cruel and inaccurate item. And the sad thing was the woman who wrote the item was told that every single thing in it was wrong, and she just went ahead and ran it without even running the denials. And it reports things that I thought. You know, and it's so wrong. For example...
What do you mean it reports things that you thought?
Well, it says that when I saw him, he looked like he smelled bad.
Oh.
How do you look like you smell bad?
Take a look at Benji. I see what you're saying. So in other words...
And another thing, the item starts out, it says, one guy who definitely won't be invited back is Harry Knowles. Let me tell you something. Harry Knowles, first of all, he knows a lot about the movie. Secondly, he has a lot of passion. Third, he has a lot of energy. Fourth, he's a good talker. I'm telling you right now on the Howard Stern show that the first sentence of their item, and I'm trying to, here it is. Let me see. I'm calling it up here. Here we go. One contender is definitely out of the running. That's the lead from page 6.
Right.
I'm going to tell you something. He's going to be back, and I'm so mad at them, he'll probably be the first one invited back.
Really?
I want him back. Everyone on our show, the producer, our entire staff, we liked Harry. We thought it was good television.
Well, it's very...
At one point it says here, he was wearing a grubby black T-shirt and Ebert was clad in a shirt, tie, and jacket. Well, he's wearing a black shirt, not a T-shirt. That's the uniform of these kids under 30. You go to Sundance, You know, if you see anyone who isn't wearing a black shirt, you figure that they're in the wrong town. They don't know what they're there for.
So, in other words, what you're saying is that you weren't going to...
wearing a tie, I have worn a tie once on our show in 24 years, and that was the tribute show to Gene.
Right. Well,
I don't wear a tie. They didn't even know that. He was not disheveled.
So, in other words, it's all false is what you're saying.
And here it says, Ebert looked like he was horrified we had terrible on-air chemistry. I glared at him during his impression of the SLC punk star Matthew Lillard. Well, A, he didn't do an impression of Lillard. He said he didn't like him. B, I glared at Gene. We glare on the show. We disagree with each other. I wasn't horrified. I was delighted. I was delighted that we were involved in a very spirited exchange.
Right. So you're
now they have. I did a quick impression. No, they quote Knowles from his website. I did a quick impression. ... which Roger reacted negatively to ... Many things were said ... Well, you know what those dots are concealing. They're concealing the fact that the New York Post wickedly did a 180-degree spin on what he actually said.
You know, it's funny you bring this up because a couple of weeks ago, a guy in the New York Post who hates my guts did a review of my television show, my syndicated show, and he said, it wasn't even a review. He said, I am telling you, the show will not be renewed. You can bet on it. It's a failure, blah, 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 blah. And I sit and read this thing, I laugh because I had just come from a meeting with people at CBS IMAR asking me to renew for a second season. And I said, what information does he have?
None.
None. And, of course, I have renewed. I'm doing a second season, and I say, well...
Their TV critics said we didn't have good time slots in the major markets. We called him up and gave him our time slots in the top 10 markets. He wasn't interested. He wasn't interested. You know, 6:30 on Sunday night in L.A., 6:30 Saturday night in Chicago. Those are not bad time slots.
They're great.
Excellent time slots. The show is failing, he says. We are the top-rated half-hour syndicated show in America.
I'll do you one better. This kid that listens to the show, he sent me a copy of it. He sent to the review. He says, what are you talking about? Howard Stern. Here's Howard Stern's rating success market by market. Guy wrote him back a note. Doesn't matter. His overall rating across the country isn't huge. Well, yeah, because I'm only on in 50 markets. So I mean, it's what you say is true.
What hurt me about this is it hurts Harry. It hurts
right.
Harry.
Yeah, Harry was the reviewer.
And also, of course, despite the fact that you deplore Page 6 and the New York Post, Howard.
No, I don't.
I have to point out
I'm friends with Richard Johnson. Yeah.
Yesterday, you gleefully cackled over this item on the air that attacked Harry, and at that point, you didn't question the New York Post at all.
No, I don't. In fact, the New York Post and Richard Johnson Richard Johnson happens to be a friend of mine.
Well, actually, I had a real nice talk with Richard Johnson also yesterday, and he happens to be a friend of mine.
Right.
And he's not a bad guy, and he was just written up in Brill's Content magazine for actually... His page is very accurate, according to Brill.
In fact, Richard...
This item, which he did not write, was completely written... they quote a show staffer. Well, he didn't even claim to me they talked to a show staffer.
Right. So
they talked to a guy.
You want to get the word out for Harry.
They talked to somebody who doesn't like Harry Knowles. They put 2 and 2 together and got 5. They thought it was good copy to say that I hated him and that he was fat and that he looked like he smelled. Let me tell you something. This guy... could be the olfactory poster boy for Johnson's baby powder.
Really? He smells so good.
He doesn't smell at all.
He smells great.
Well, he doesn't smell bad. I didn't go around sniffing him.
You didn't sleep together or anything, did you?
No.
As a matter of fact, when I talk about Page 6...
He smells just fine, but that's cruel, too.
See, when I talk
that's a form of fatism. You know, if somebody is fat, you got to think of something
Wait a minute,
to say about him.
You're picking on me. I didn't say it. The New York Post said it.
Yeah, but that's why I wanted to call you, to set the record straight.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Harry is a guy with a lot of passion, a lot of intelligence. He's making a contribution. He did a real good job on the show. I was really pleased to be sitting there with somebody in a real high energy give and take.
Can I say something? Can I say something? In Richard Johnson's defense, because it is his column, even though some other woman wrote it.
He was real nice when we talked on the phone yesterday, and I like Richard Johnson. I
know. He did me a favor.
Okay.
I listened to this Rosie O'Donnell's hypocrisy when she was screaming about what happened in Denver and how Jerry Springer's to blame and how we have to do something and we have to have gun control and I want all guns banned. I called him up and I said, let me tell you something, Richard. Why is no one reporting that this woman is a shill for Kmart that sells guns? If she's so angry about guns and how we all aren't doing enough, why does she accept money from Kmart?
An excellent point.
So Richard went ahead and wrote a big article on it. So, I mean, listen.
By and large, I look at Page 6 all the time, and by and large, It's a good column, and Richard Johnson is a good guy. He seemed a little disturbed to find out, incidentally, that I did not feel this item was so confident in knowing exactly what I was thinking and feeling.
Right. I'm glad.
My friend, the proof of it is Harry will be back. If
I'm glad.
That's right. Harry would never be back.
I'm glad you corrected it. I am. I'm happy for Harry that you did.
And as for Colorado, let me tell you something. They show this clip of Leonardo DiCaprio in Basketball Diaries 1,000 times on TV. Nobody saw that movie.
Of course not.
Those who saw the movie, it was part of a fantasy sequence.
And also, it was one of the worst movies ever made.
If it's going to influence anyone, they're going to see it on TV. But they put it on because it's DiCaprio, so it's good. It's good programming. It's a nice little video bite.
Right.
You know what I feel? There aren't a lot of movies about kids shooting up high schools and so forth, but every time somebody does, it's 24 hours wall-to-wall on all the news channels. So if I'm some disturbed, psychopathic 16-year-old sitting at home, I'm watching CNN and MSNBC and all the networks, and what am I thinking? I'm thinking, look at they have their pictures on TV. They're known as the Trenchcoat Mafia. This is the way that I can become famous and go out in a blaze of glory. Everyone will be talking about me on television.
Right. They give so much attention. Right.
The TV news, they call me up, well, didn't movies make him do it? I said, I've given this quote, I never made it on any TV show because you know what my quote always was? It's shows like this that make kids do it.
Let me tell you something. You are 100% on the money. I said about 2 days after this tragedy, I got on the air and I said, it is the media that brings so much attention to this. I said, I went to my daughter's high school play. I saw about 200 kids involved in the production, through the orchestra all the way through the play. I said, these are the greatest kids I ever saw. I'll never see a story about how great kids are today and what the positive things they're doing. You'll never see that.
The next time there's a shooting at a high school, how about if they don't show the kids' pictures on TV and they don't name them?
Right. That's part of the problem. They love to sensationalize
Don't make them
stories.
famous.
Yeah, they make them famous.
Why do we need to know the names of those
You don't,
kids?
and let me tell you something, and then that's what leads to copycatism, and that's the end of it all. And I'll tell you one better. If the media wants to blame somebody, why don't they look at these maniacs who go around shooting up abortion clinics and practicing putting on the internet their names.
Adults. What movies did they watch?
Yeah, with lists. Yeah, and tell me if that doesn't influence kids. When you got maniacs going around blowing up abortion clinics, killing doctors, putting their names on the internet. You never see them say anything about that.
What they do is,
that's violent.
If something bad happens, they just take out an agenda of what they were against and attack it.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Well, now I'm being attacked, and I said, this is unbelievable. It was the one subject I was sensitive on. Some disc jockeys pulled a comment out of mine out of context, and I'm already condemned by the Denver legislature. I've just read 3 magazines this morning who even said that my comments were taken out of context.
But let me tell you
I'll tell you something.
We live in a world right now that is not good for Howard Stern, and I'll tell you why. Because half of the people get irony, and half of the people don't.
Yeah, well, and the half that don't seem to be incredibly...
You almost have to have, if you were on TV, there ought to be, when you're on TV, there ought to be a little lower third graphic that flashes that says joke, joke,
right,
joke.
Yeah, because they don't get it. And Michael Moore made the same point that you're making. I played it on the air the other day. They interviewed him about me. And he said, it's unbelievable. He said exactly what you said. There are so many people out there who don't even understand irony or sarcasm or anything, so you got to watch your ass. But I don't know. There should be a guy in the corner winking on the TV set or something.
Or a crawl.
Or a crawl, as Roger
where
says.
they have the little logo in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah.
It should be a smiley face every time that you say something funny, so people will know.
I know, because then my agent called me and said,
they don't watch anyway. They just get it secondhand, and then they jump on it.
Well, my agent called me and said last night, they canceled the TV show in Seattle because of your comments. I said, A, I'm not even on the radio in Seattle. B, I didn't say anything bad. For once, I'm not guilty. I said, but you know what? I don't care. Who cares? I'm exhausted from this. It's such crap.
You know, what's funny is Charlton Heston says we're going to continue to support the Second Amendment, which, of course, talks about a well-regulated militia. It doesn't say anything about, everybody should have a machine gun in their bed with them.
Well, let me ask you something.
Why don't they support... the moment they start supporting the Second Amendment, you know that that's a prelude to attacking the First Amendment.
You know the Colorado state legislature has a law that says that an 18-year-old kid can buy a gun and give it to a minor, and that's legal, but they're busy condemning me? How could you have a law in the books like that? How could that be?
Who would even think of a law like that?
I mean, where would you come up with that? It's unbelievable.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding you at all.
Well, that's why the 18-year-old girl is not arrested.
Yeah, she
gave them a gun.
It's totally legal.
The 22-year-old guy is arrested.
If you're 20...
because you know why that is? I can tell you why that is, Howard. That's because we want the adults to be responsible and buy the guns, and then they can give them to their children and train them.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something.
That'll be the excuse they give. You mean a father can't give his son a gun?
No.
Then we have this bucolic picture of Dad and Junior out in the woods shooting squirrels with a .22.
Any 18-year-old can go to Kmart, buy a gun, and hand it to any teenager, and that is perfectly legal according to the Colorado State Legislature. And by the way, if you're gay, they can't seem to pass the gay rights. So that's what they're busy with, but they got time enough to draft up a whole... You should see, someone sent me a whole drafting.
The movies they're talking about are allegedly R-rated, and allegedly those kids couldn't see them.
Of course.
Maybe, why don't they...
I wish Gene was alive.
Pass a law making it against the law to sell a ticket to an R-rated... Against the law to sell a ticket to an R-rated movie to anyone under 17. They would never pass that because the theater lobby would stop them.
You're not kidding.
They want to censor all movies for everyone, but they don't want to have any kind of standards in terms of actual attendance.
I got 3 religious groups all racketeering against me, trying to get me off the air and hustling advertisers and bombarding them with all kinds of false statements about me. And that's not against the law either, but I'll tell you something. I've been to the mountaintop.
Well, then you want to bring it around then, so you must have some sympathy for Harry Knowles.
I do. That's why I said I'm glad you called.
But he didn't, this item is not right. It's not right.
Well, you're doing the right thing.
It's the same thing. We got to try to keep it straight.
Well, I gave you a forum. That's why.
I love your forum.
Well, I love you, and I wish Gene was alive.
Well, we're sorry for Harry, and let us apologize to Harry for even repeating the story.
Well, we got it set straight now, and I miss Gene too.
Yeah. We really do. He was a great guy.
We're not in any hurry to get a permanent co-host.
I like that. You know what was a class thing?
Someday it will work out that one person or a small group of people or something, but in the meantime, I think having a revolving panel. This week we have David Anson from Newsweek, and next week we have Leah Rosen from People magazine.
How are the ratings? Are they doing okay?
Our ratings are just fine. They're very strong.
And let me tell you, I like it was a class thing. You kept calling it Siskel and Ebert. That was class. I like that.
At some point we're probably going to have to change it because it will become...
Yeah, it'll be
something strange.
Right. But I think you did the right thing.
This season, anyway, Siskel and Ebert, because, I got to tell you, it was Siskel and Ebert. I mean, it was the two of us together.
Yeah, you built that whole franchise.
And it was the two of us together, but both of us thinking it only took one of us.
Right.
Yeah, and you made reviewing cool. You really did.
Yeah, made it fun. I bet you a lot of people went into reviewing because of that. Hey, Brian, you're on the air.
Hi, Howard.
Yeah.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
I'd like to have a suggestion for Mr. Ebert.
Go ahead.
Have you and your people ever considered having different guests every week?
That's what he's doing.
With Robin.
We are having different guests every week.
He's doing that, but he's having reviewers.
Yeah, he wants people who actually write down their reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's a groovy idea.
I think it's kind of, like Gene and I were real movie critics. We looked weird on television. I mean, we didn't look like television stars.
Yeah, Robin looks too much like a television
star. What's wrong with you?
Michael, you're on with Roger Ebert.
What I mean was, we were real movie critics, and, journalists who cover the beat, and then we were talking about it on TV. That was the rubric that Gene did over and over, and that's what we're trying to stay true to, is that idea.
Robin accepted. You're not on
Robin,
the show.
all you have to do is get your own website and review 100 movies in the next 12 months, and I'll consider you.
Michael, you're on the air.
Yeah, I got a question for Roger about Harry. I mean, I know Harry's got a face for radio, but my question is...
On the contrary, I got a very interesting email about Harry.
Roger likes his looks.
Wait a minute, from a media analyst who said, Harry is a cartoon. They always do well on television.
Right.
You have two kinds of guys on TV. You have leading men, and you have character actors.
Right.
Harry Knowles has I'm telling you, he's being talked to right now for 2 or 3 TV shows.
He's got the presence.
Put this down on tape. In 3 years, Harry Knowles is going to be a TV star somewhere for somebody.
Well, here's the question.
He doesn't have a face for radio.
What is your question, Michael?
Because people remember him.
The question is, Howard, how you were saying before, how you contacted Richard Johnson and alerted him to that article about Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes.
I know that a lot of the studios have been down on Harry Knowles as somebody who musters a lot of fan support and goes against projects they want. He credited himself with killing the Superman script, and he credited himself with some other things along that. Do you think that studios had anything to do with...
Oh, please, I don't even know what you're talking about.
A conspiracy.
Who cares? You got a conspiracy theory about movie critics. I never saw anything like it. All right, listen, Roger.
It's good to talk to you, Roger. We've missed you, too.
You know, Roger gave...
Come and see you.
You know what shocks me? Whenever I know Roger's coming on, I go through his movie reviews book. He gave 3.5 stars to The Phantom.
Roger has the wackiest
I'm very happy to
ideas
defend
about
that movie.
music.
I have a whole list of movies. I'm going to defend The Phantom and Anaconda and Congo.
Anaconda?
Congo.
Roger,
How many... Wait a second. How many...
Watch paint dry.
How many stars did you give it to Anaconda?
I think I gave it 3.5 stars.
Oh. How many stars do you have? 10?
I'll tell you something. You have to read my review of The Mummy when it comes out this Friday.
I will.
Sometimes...
You need Robin to set you straight.
Or it's on CompuServe.
All right.
Because, let me tell you something. There's a part of me, I really like absurd, ridiculous, swashbuckling dramas.
Yeah, but the audience...
Let me tell you something.
Entertained.
In Anaconda, when the snake regurgitates John Voight and
that was good.
The camera,
you gotta wait for
Are
that?
you telling me that wasn't a great moment?
That was a great
No
moment.
reason to spend $850.
Hey, Roger, I'm not gonna get into it, but I'm glad you set the thing straight with Harry.
Okay.
And when you're in town, come see us.
Yeah.
I will.
All right, Roger Ebert,
He's always
everyone.
a lot of fun.
Thanks, Roger. Bye. It's Roger
And he
Ebert.
wrote this book that tells you the stuff in movies and what it means and how they work. It's just great.
Yeah, good guy. All right, you gave it your shot with
He
that.
knows his movie stuff. Oh, I don't care.
You got this show.